You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis.
Hey, how's it going, Jeremiah?
Episode 59.
59. One more till 60.
Somebody called the cops on us.
Do we have a plan for 60 yet?
Yeah, I think we do. It could be one of two things. It's either
Okay.
going to be a secret episode we have planned for Saturday that we aren't announcing, or it's going to be the racing night show. It's one of those two.
I'm hoping for Saturday.
Yeah, I am too. If not, what the hell's any of this for?
I don't know.
So anyway, our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. Sure. We promise that our episodes are going to be a fun and easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks we just find interesting. That's the catch-all where we can have anybody on the show we want to because it's our show and we just have fun with it.
That's correct.
So we have, on my right, Mrs. Brandy Pierce, who is a police officer for Henry County, Indiana, Newcastle, Indiana, I guess. You're a city police officer.
Yes.
And our K9 officer.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm temporarily without a dog, but yes, I am a K9 officer.
We'll get into that in a minute. And then on the other side of the room, we have Mr. Matt Pierce, same name, now related, I guess. And he's a detective with the Henry County Sheriff's Department.
That's correct.
And you're also, we'll get the Darren Jacobs references out of the way. I understand you're Darren Jacobs' personal police officer because you're in charge of enforcing all of his codes in Spiceland, Indiana, and you are the patrol dude for Spiceland.
Yep. 10 hours a week. I'm in Spiceland.
10 hours a week.
10 hours.
Exactly what hours do we know we can't break the law in Spiceland?
Well, that's the thing. It's up to me.
How many?
They don't even want to know.
I mean, it's Thursday. Have you already done your 10 hours? Are we safe between now and the end of the week?
I would say after this show, you should be careful.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
All right.
There's that one stop sign in front of the church that we go to. We go to the Friends Church in Spiceland.
Right across from the old school?
Yep. And there's that stop sign right there on Main Street or whatever. And I've always said that if I was going to steal a stop sign, that would be the one because I hate it so much.
I don't hate that stop sign as much as I do as the one that's on the south side of Greensboro that my brother got written up for a couple months ago, and I heard it went away nicely. But yeah, the stupidest stop sign in the entire county is the one on the south side of Greensboro.
The first time I went through there, I mean, patrolling for years, I drove right through it. I looked back and it was like
In Spiceland or Greensboro?
No, Greensboro, because it was like overnight. It just popped up.
Yeah.
It's in front of nothing. It's like an old school that's a house.
It's
and somebody
apartments.
Yeah, and somebody put a stop sign in there.
I've blown through that in my work truck so many times, like just going through there because we have a substation back there, and I'll just blow right through it and be, well, hopefully someone doesn't call the number on the back of the truck.
That's what people tune into the show for is small town stop sign talk.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So what are you talking about tonight, Dakota? We've got our
whole
big
list of
weekend
things.
our big weekend recap.
Yep.
Did we hang out this weekend?
We hung out during the week.
We did. Yeah, we didn't see each other. I was it was a hostage situation for me this week. It was Mother's Day, and I had a wedding I attended, and yeah, I didn't get back to town until real late. But we did hang out this week, I guess.
We did. I had dinner at your house last night.
I cooked.
I've been all by myself and struggling for the entire week.
You can only have Easy Mac so many days in a row.
Yeah. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 and was very self-sufficient until November of last year when I got married. And it seems like in that short, just a few months there, I totally forgot how to live on my own.
I'm very much looking forward to forgetting how to live on my own here in a couple of months.
Until your wife leaves for a week and you're starving.
Yep. That's what I was
with
like.
Matt and Brandy.
Like, there's no food in this house. And she just bought groceries, but there's no food. It's been a struggle for me. And trying to remember how to do laundry, that was a tough one as well. I've been really struggling.
So what I've learned about your laundry cycle, Dakota, is that you really don't do it unless you absolutely have to anyway.
Correct.
Your Boss Hog of Liberty polo shirt, you revealed that after Chase wore it was the very first time you actually washed that shirt.
Yep.
And you've had it for 3 months.
Because it's not like I wear it all the time. I'll wear it like out to meetings. So I've worn it like 5 times, and it's only been for like half an hour or so at a time. I always have a T-shirt on underneath it. I'm like, there's no reason to wash this. This is perfectly fine. It smells okay.
That's how I spent my college years.
Yeah, well,
pick it up and
Dakota's living his college years, but I guess I sweat a lot more than you do. You sweat too, though. That's just disgusting. I can't even try to defend it. It's horrible.
You don't wear a T-shirt underneath yours.
No, not normally, because that's hot.
I have to.
I always wear a shirt underneath. Yep.
No.
If you don't wear a T-shirt underneath, then you're going to get sweat on it, and then you have to wash it. That's how that process works.
But then if you wear a T-shirt, it's twice as hot. Help me out, Brandy.
I don't have a T-shirt under mine. I wash it every time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the right.
Do you wash yours every time?
I do, but I wear a T-shirt too, so I don't know. It's weird like that.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I mean, like,
I thought that you were going to be on my side on this one, just like you were on our side for the stop sign in Greensboro.
That's just a bad stop sign.
But maybe someday.
Still polo.
Maybe
watching.
someday
All
somebody
right,
like Jesse Riddle, county councilman over there, can get it taken care of. So you've been on your own.
Yep.
You and the dogs.
Yep.
And
It's been me and the dogs.
You had a startling post on Facebook that
Yep.
I think upset the entire town almost as much as the turkey dying.
Yeah, I don't think that I've had that many likes and comments on a Facebook post for a long time, because Daisy, we were outside. I was playing with the dogs.
Daisy's your German Shepherd.
Daisy is the German Shepherd, my 90-pound German Shepherd, and she's outside. She never digs. Hank, the Australian Shepherd, he will dig in the yard. He's the classic stereotypical, I'm going to dig and bury something and then forget where I buried it. That's him. But Daisy, no, that's never been her MO. So she's outside. I see her digging in the yard, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? I go out there. I look inside, and there's an old doll head. Just the head.
It looked like the face off the CPR doll that was cut off by Dwight Schrute in the office. It looked like that in the dirt.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. And I was immediately taken aback. There was an audible gasp, I think. And I look down. I'm like, so I pick it up. This is creepy, is what I'm thinking. I picked it up. The eyes fell out, and then yeah. So the eyes fall out of it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do anything with this right now. I'm just gonna put it back in the hole, and we're gonna forget all about that this ever happened.
You're gonna rebury it.
Yeah, I'm gonna rebury the doll head. When I put it down the hole, Daisy immediately picks it up and just chews it up and spits it all out. So she knew that there was a bad omen attached to it, I think.
Gone forever now.
Yep.
You're better than me. I would have buried it, come in the house, and moved. I'm out for sale.
Put in the for sale sign.
Yep.
So this isn't the first time that one of my dogs has dug up something like that in my yard. Dodger, the German Shepherd mix that I had that had epilepsy, he dug up a St. John statue in the backyard. And Catholic people will bury St. John to try to sell their house quickly. He found that one time. So, yeah, very interesting.
I don't know.
I wonder what else is in your backyard.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's one time that they were digging out there and they found half of a baby pool that had been buried in the backyard. So that was
Maybe we know
that
Jimmy
was
Hoffa
Dodger.
is that.
Yeah,
The more we know.
that's right.
Well, my I thought for a minute I had nothing good that happened this weekend, but I did have a bit of an incident.
You did.
On
I want to know what this is about because you told me to write down Jeremiah had a run-in with the parking people on Mother's Day.
So Mother's Day, my mom won. We play in the or go to Rushville for their St. Patrick's Day party every year, and my mom won 4 baseball tickets behind home plate for the Indianapolis Indians. So it was Mother's Day, so she took her kids, and mom's an expert negotiator, so there were some additional tickets that were purchased, and she got the entire family to get to sit behind home plate. So we had like 8 of us. So if you watch the Indians game on Sunday, we were all sitting there in the directly behind the pitcher.
Indians games are a lot of fun.
It was a great time. But I parked in the government garage, right? It's right just across from the hotel that we stayed at.
That's
it's
the name of
government. Yeah, it's the government center garage.
Okay.
Is it the above ground or below ground?
The above ground one, yeah. It sits like at Missouri and Washington Street or something. There's two sides to it, two entrances off of that little north-south street. So I entered through the north side of it, and they give me a little card, and it said $10 to park here, but they gave me a card. My parents, when they entered through the south side, and they paid $10 cash. And I was like, that's weird. Why would they charge me $10 or, say that it's $10 but not take the money up front? And then my parents, they paid $10 and they were good to go. So I was like, all right, well, I parked the car and I waited on them for a little while. And then I walked downstairs to make sure that I was going to be fine. So I verified with the attendant. He's like, oh yeah, just, pay when you leave. It's $10, not a problem. Okay, great. Go to the baseball game. We leave the baseball game. Mom and Dad leave in their vehicle. I go to mine. I get out and I can't find my card. I'm like, oh, not a big deal. I'll just go downstairs. I'm here for the baseball game. I pull out two $5 bills and I walk. They don't have like a guy manning the exit, so there's like a machine.
Yeah, a kiosk.
A kiosk, yes. But there is a fellow that's like in a little room kind of in between the two garage spaces. So I knock on the door, and he has to get up out of his chair and comes
Very
over.
aggressive.
I wanted to get his attention. So I knocked on the door, and he comes over with his whistle and his vest. And he's like, well, do you have your ticket? And I was like, no, I don't have my ticket handy, but here's $10. Can I give you this and you can leave? And he's like, it's $25 for a lost ticket. I'm like, what? I'm here for the baseball game. I just want to pay you my money and go. He's like, it's $25 for a lost ticket. And I said, I have $10. Well, that was a tone. And then it turned into a whole thing of, are you telling me what you're going to do? And I have $10. And it's $10 to park here. Can you please take my $10 and let me go? Well, it's $25 for a lost ticket. So we had this conversation for a while. And I'm like, well, I'm standing here until you take my $10.
Did you get tased?
And he says,
I want this story to end with
he
you
tells me
going,
I'm calling the Capitol Police. So now I've been threatened that the Indiana State Capitol Police are coming after me. I'm like, oh, this is the stupidest thing ever. Just take my $10. And he's like, well, it's $25 for a lost ticket. I said, your system is stupid, man, because I can walk over to the machine that's 40 feet from us, push the button, it'll give me another ticket, and be here for less than half an hour, and it's $11. And he just looks at me. He says, I'm going to call the Capitol Police. Killing me.
That's the government parking garage.
Yeah. So I finally went back to my vehicle, and I looked around for a while until I found my ticket because I was inconvenienced. Because I'd taken the ticket with me to go pay the guy at the gate or whatever the first time, and then I had stuck it in one of 47 compartments in my wallet. And I wasn't all that worried about it because I was just going to give that $10 and get out. But instead, it nearly led to my arrest and imprisonment for parking violations.
I love
so
that.
I probably will not park in any garages that require me to have a card again. So it was difficult.
We were there the Sunday before the
Yeah.
Indians game. We sat right behind section, remember, like 112. We were right behind home plate row, but we parked in the underground with $10.
Yeah, you were at the
took
Idle
it-
Jordan or the State Museum garage.
Yeah, they take it as soon as you go in. $10.
Yeah. And that's fine. I probably will do that next time. It was the recommended parking for the, mom and dad were going to park there, so I parked there, and it was real easy and simple.
What's the most parking could be?
Up $25 is a lost ticket charge.
So basically,
if you stay
basically, if they say you lose it, you're paying the maximum amount. To get out.
Okay. You're just paying the $25.
That's kind of salty.
Yeah, for a 3-hour minor league baseball game. Because I'm like, who's going to game this system? Like, who's showing up? I
See, I would have, before I got to the guy, I would have hit the button and brought a ticket with me and be like, it's $11. Sorry, I got to pay extra buck to get me out of here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was.
You'd be like, you only parked for 30 seconds? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
really fast,
I'm
man.
done with this place. I hate it. I was so agitated. And then we went from there to another place. There was a street festival going on. My mom and dad, it was Mother's Day, so we went down to Fountain Square and could barely find parking down there for a thing. Got to the restaurant that we were going to go to, and it was closed. So then we went to Mass Ave. So we went from the southeast side to the northeast side, and there was no street parking there either. So that was another $10 in the parking lot.
Mass Avenue is horrible anymore. I hate it there.
Yeah, it's not like it was in the 90s when you were an infant.
Well, like even whenever I had just got my driver's license, it wasn't that bad. I used to, my friend Sam and I used to go up there and eat at Yats and go to the Egyptian Room occasionally, and we could always park. And now it's just insane.
It's a whole thing. So yeah, that was my weekend story.
So now that we've spent 10 minutes talking about parking,
I'm not.
What do you want to talk about now? I think that we skipped over a very important part, the very first thing on this, and that is saying thank you to the people who donate to us on Patreon.
We do need to do that.
Yeah, we are. It's getting close, people. We're almost there to a studio. we're getting close. We still need those donations. But the thing is we got to talking about this and really thought about it, and it was like, right now we're using the Patreon money to help, but we bought the board, we bought the H6 and all this new equipment. Well, there's other things that we need to buy, and it was like, after we have the studio and all the money's going to the studio, what are we gonna buy the equipment with?
We're gonna be cash strapped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll be relying solely on Redbubble.
So yeah, you can go to redbubble.com and you've got all of the T-shirts and merchandise that you designed sitting there for us. How do I find our Patreon list? Do you have it listed somewhere? All of the people we're supposed to thank?
It's on the website. I mean, it's 16 people, man. We're gonna be
Gonna rattle them off all day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll give a special thank you to Brant Spicer and Christy Avery, and it's a happy birthday to Brant, by the way. Today is his birthday.
Happy birthday, Brant.
You get a special happy birthday today, Brantley.
All right. So this week, we planned this episode. We invited you guys on quite some time ago, and whenever you reached out, did you think about it being National Police Week this week?
Yeah, I totally remember.
Was that on purpose?
I totally planned that.
I didn't know that. I was driving for work, and I went through Greens Fork, and their town building had National Police Week. Thank you, LEOs. And I was like, what a
Who's
coincidence.
Leo? Who's Leo?
Yeah. Who's Leo? Why is he the only cop getting a thank you? No, but I was like, this is perfect. I cannot believe that this just worked out so well.
So did you guys know it's National Law Enforcement Officer Week?
Of course.
Is it a big thing?
It is. It's really big. Yeah.
Do you guys have cake and donuts and stuff and celebrations?
Most of the stuff goes on in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I mean, locally, we just support that because it's a time that they put the names of the fallen officers on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, so that there's I looked it up. There's a website, policeweek.org, where they explain everything. Started by JFK in May of 1962. There was a fallen officers Memorial Day on May 15th, and then he just decided, you know what, let's make it a week. And there's all kinds of things going on in Washington, D.C. It's like 25 to 40,000 police officers will go up to Washington, D.C. every year. It's a pretty big deal.
That's a really big deal out there.
It's a bad time to be a criminal in Washington, D.C. this week.
I don't know.
There's no criminals in Washington, D.C., is there?
Just in Congress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's kind of cool. That was good timing. Yeah. So Brandy is here with us, and you were in the news last year
Yes.
for a thing.
Yes, I was.
And you had your K9 with you,
Mhm.
and then was it last month or was it this month that you lost?
It was this month.
You lost
Yes,
Lex
the
earlier this
second.
month. Okay. So I guess you've been a K9 officer as long as not as long as I've known you because we grew up together, but as long as I can remember. I can't remember my teenage
15 years.
15 years you've been a Newcastle Police K9 officer.
Mhm.
You've had 2 dogs in that time?
Yep.
All right. So this was not an expected loss where you had was it Max as your first dog?
Yes.
And then you had a little bit of time where you had to raise money and you wound up getting Lex. Yeah. And then Lex served, was it 6 years you had Lex with you? So I guess talk about what happened last year and his involvement with you and what happened and then where we're at today.
On September 24th of last year, about 4 a.m., we responded to a call of a suspicious subject possibly breaking into cars, called in by a passerby who gave us a description. I happened to be very close to the area and responded. They gave a clothing description. He was on a bicycle. And as I'm pulling into the area, I see a matching guy on a bicycle. He fled. I was in my vehicle. He was on a bicycle, and he fled. Lost sight of him. Called it out to the other officers. Spotted him, but he flees. We end up relocating him, and I was able to get close enough to him that I have on my vehicle, it's equipped with a remote door pop. I wear it usually on my shoulder. I can tap it, and it pops the door.
Releases the dog.
Yeah, and Lex can bail out.
That's really cool.
That way, if I'm running or away from the car, we can still deploy the dog without having to go back to the vehicle. Yeah. And so as fast as I can put it in park, I can bail him out. And he bailed. The guy was still on his bicycle, fleeing, and Lex chased him down, and they went around a corner. and I'm not near as fast as Lex or a bicycle. And when I rounded the corner, Lex was in the process of apprehending and taking the suspect off of the bicycle, and there was a fight between the two of them in the alley, and was giving multiple commands, show your hands, stop fighting the dog. At one point, Lex came he had taken the subject off the bicycle by his left bicep, and he came off of that bite. At the time, we didn't know why. He had basically ripped loose. He has been taught that if I or another officer are close and he's on an arm bite, he is to go away from us, because usually what that does, it frees up the arms so the suspect can be handcuffed, which enables us to take the dog off safely and quickly. And also, the dog is not near another officer to bite the officer. And so he went towards the legs because I was right up there and take him into custody. And as he was still digging in his pockets, giving commands, show your hands, stop fighting the dog. And as I see his hands coming up, as Lex bites on his lower leg, and out of pain compliance, he jerks his hand down just a second, and I realize he has a gun in his hand. And so I'm yelling more commands, and that split second that where Lex bought me enough time, was able to get to my firearm and engage the suspect until he was no longer a threat. There was a gunfight between the two of us, and at that time there was a second officer who was a rookie. He had about 6 months on, hadn't even been to the police academy, and he's running into a gunfight. And I thought he shot me. I thought I felt the impact in my upper left shoulder. But at that point, I don't know I had no recollection of how many shots the guy had fired. I thought I had been hit, but I don't feel like I've been hit. And we secured the gun, secured the suspect, took the dog off. That officer and a third officer who arrived on scene began rendering aid. And I was adamant that the rookie officer get checked because I was afraid he had gotten shot and wasn't aware of it in the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And in the meantime,
the adrenaline.
Yeah,
that has to be insane.
At this point, I've taken the dog off. I'm checking the dog because I thought for sure I had shot my own dog, because at that point, we can't sacrifice an officer over the dog.
Right.
But he doesn't seem to be hurt. And I'm checking myself. Once I know the rookie officer's okay, I start checking myself. Thought he shot me, but I'm not sure. And I tell my guys, I think he shot me. Okay. But they don't think much of it because I'm okay. I seem okay. Right. I've taken control of the dog, and I thought he shot me up here, but I can't find anything. And then I realized my chest was kind of burning. And at one point, I think, I can't find anything. Am I having a heart attack? I don't think so. I felt almost silly because I don't want to say I got shot and I didn't get shot. And as it turned out, I probably felt it up here because I jerked. I had some pretty good whiplash for a couple days afterwards. But I was, kind of patting myself, and I realized my finger fell into a hole almost dead center. And I said, "Is that a hole on my shirt?" Man. And Officer Hughes that was with me said, "Yeah, you've got a hole." And he turns back because, they're rendering aid, and then he jumps up. "Oh, my gosh, you've been shot." Yeah, okay, I really have. I'm not making this up at this point. It was so much so fast, and from the adrenaline, your body's still processing everything. And as it turned out, I was wearing a Safariland vest, and it was a Glock. It was a .45 caliber, dead center mass at point blank range, and my vest stopped it completely.
Wow.
It did not penetrate the vest. I could feel after a couple seconds, I said, "Oh, it's okay. I can feel the round. It could not have penetrated. It's, I've got to be okay." So they were able to continue rendering aid. We checked Lex, took him back to the car and checked him over again. Went up, I helped him secure the scene. The medics came and, of course, were rendering aid to him and then checked me. I ended up going to the hospital and having an x-ray to make sure there was no cracked rib, no bruising around my heart. That apparently was the big concern. But the vest stopped it completely. And Safariland has a program called the SAVES program, and they have a vetting program, and they make sure it's legit. Like, apparently people do actually make this up. They double-checked everything, your serial number and all that. And, of course, mine came back. Of course, it was a save. And
do they provide you with a replacement vest?
Yes. it's kind of a lengthy process to get your vest replaced, like when they expire and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get shot, they replace it very quickly. They send a guy to the department. Typically, your department picks what vests they're paying for, and that's what you get. You don't have a lot of options. But when you get shot in it, they bring a guy. He brings a bag of stuff. You get to choose everything, like the type of vest, your panels, what kind of carriers you want.
Matt jealous of what you have now?
He works in an office, so he's not wearing his vest a whole lot.
So we've had
on the streets of Spiceland.
Cade Coger has been called a fake farmer, and I think you just called Matt a fake cop.
Can we start over?
Desk detective over there. Man, all right.
It's rough.
That's the way it's going to go.
But I was fortunate enough that not only did my vest work and save me, and they replaced it very quickly, and I had some massive bruising, and at the time I didn't know both the doctors and the paramedics initially told me the spot was just black and then spread into bruising, and they said it's like a blood blister. And as it turns out, that is most paramedics and ER doctors see very little gunshot wounds that are vest saves. They see the actual penetration wounds.
Right.
What that is, the vest stops the penetration, but that energy still travels through as heat. So what that is it basically incinerates your flesh right there, so you've been burnt. But the vest company explained that to me later on. I happened to be, after they vetted everything, I got a call from Ed Hinchy with Safariland, and he informed me that I was save number 2,000 for Safariland, and they gave us all expenses paid trip out to SHOT Show in Vegas in January of this year. So Matt and I got to go. Safariland paid for everything. It was a great time. They were super generous, and we'd never been to SHOT Show, and they won't pay for us to go out every year, but they will pay for us to get into SHOT Show every year if we want to go.
Fantastic.
That's really neat. Wow. So my truck was actually broken into because where you apprehended the man, it's
just probably 200 yards from the studio north of Q Avenue.
So my truck was broken into just a couple months before that. So somebody, I had it was a 92 Chevrolet, a big black truck. They slid open the rear windshield window, and it got in there and unlocked the passenger side door, and but the driver's side door was already unlocked, because I kept it unlocked.
So they went through the window
for
no reason.
And
what did they get?
There was nothing in there. So
There's a lot of work then.
They opened up the glove compartment, and they saw oil rags and some, you're approved for this credit card junk mail. And they ripped up the junk mail.
So they signed you up for a bunch of credit cards.
They ripped up the junk mail for me, and then took the rags.
So they felt bad for you. They're like, this
guess.
guy's got less than we do.
Yeah.
Let's help him out.
That's right. Let's give him a hand trying to get rid of this stuff. My identity hasn't been stolen yet, so.
Well, we blame the same guy basically.
Yep.
So the guy that was in the incident with Brandy, we just said that she took care of Dakota's dude.
Yep.
It worked out very well for me, both because my vest stopped the round. Obviously, without the vest, that would have been a huge issue for me. I would have taken a 45 through the chest. And Lex is the one who bought me enough time that I only took the one round, and that was plenty for me. I'm sure shot placement would have been different when he saw that I didn't go down. So Lex did his job, the vest did its job, and other than some colorful bruising for about a month, I came out pretty much unscathed and went right back to work. Yeah.
Ooh. That was longer than a month. You had that bruising.
Oh, yeah. For it to totally go away was probably, I think, 2 months.
Oh, at least.
So 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So I would think that at that point you're going, is this ever going away? Am I stuck with this forever?
There's still some, I'm guessing from the deep tissue damage. If I lean against something just right or something, I can still feel a little bit of tenderness. But the bruising and everything is all gone. I don't have any major pain.
Yeah, because the amount of heat transferred, almost instantaneously is just, it's great.
See, I've never thought about the heat transfer. I've thought about the I've thought about the kinetic impact,
Correct.
But it makes a lot of sense, the fact that it would generate some thermal energy that would pass through there, but it's just
That's
not
actually
something
one
to
of the
think about.
things.
Do they offer an air conditioned one now?
No, they are looking into building into the
some padding
panels
on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, to keep that in because you have all that energy stopped by the ripping of the fibers. And I'm telling you, the vest companies, like I've been a police officer for almost 19 years, and I never put a thought into what they put into it. It's unbelievable. They do a good job. And
yeah.
I mean, to stop a 45, just with
It's almost a half an inch.
Yeah, not even that.
No, I mean it's almost a half an inch in diameter.
Correct.
It's 0.45, right?
Traveling close to 1,000 feet per second, and from me to you.
It was super interesting to listen to the guys at the vest company talk about all that goes into the layers and the developing, and they're doing research now. Of course, everybody's always looking at thinner and lighter, but now they're looking at putting different stuff in there to help with the heat, to help reduce and burns.
Does it just get really hot underneath there, just like on a daily basis?
Yes.
I've wondered about that.
Yes, it's ridiculously hot.
I bet. Yeah.
But you're glad you had it.
Yes, very much so.
All right. So you have been, in the last 6 months to a year, been working to bring a second K9 to Newcastle Police.
Yes.
Where you've been actively doing fundraising.
Yes, we actually, when we had a new chief and assistant chief, actually the assistant chief rolled up to chief, and then a new assistant chief come in, and when they came into office, we had talked about it. They really support the K9's and the work they do. We had talked about it, and then about roughly a month and a half ago, we formally started actually fundraising to add a second dog. Once upon a time, about 15 years ago, we had a 3-dog unit.
2005, I think. Was
And as the dogs retired, different chiefs didn't feel they wanted to maintain that, so they let the dogs retire and didn't replace them.
Right.
And when Max, my original dog, passed away, the chief then, Brad Catron, decided he wasn't going to add any, but he was going to replace Max, and that's when we got Lex. This administration has said we'd like to add, and so we started fundraising, and we hadn't been into the fundraising. I don't think we were even in it a whole month when Lex unexpectedly, he had a neurological issue that they think was a brain tumor or a mass pushing, and it was very unexpected, and we lost him very quickly, but he didn't suffer, which we were glad for. But we're left now raising money for 2 dogs, and until then, we've got none. We have to rely on the sheriff's department if our department needs a dog.
Was he having seizures and
episodes?
No,
about 8 or 9 days before we lost him, he had what the vet described. The vet had a more technical term, but kind of like a doggy Bell's palsy. He had a kind of a slacking in his face. He had started scratching at one ear, and they think that was when it first started, and when he was losing feeling, it was bothering him, so he would scratch at it.
Right, that makes sense.
And then the face kind of just went slack, and it didn't affect his personality, his eating, his workability, but they said it's definitely neurological. It might rectify itself. It might stay like that. Or worst case scenario, it could be some sort of tumor or growth. And the only way to determine that would be an MRI, which would be around $1,000. And the only thing it would tell us is, yes, it's a brain tumor. It doesn't fix it. We can't we're not going to have brain surgery done on him. And about between a week and a half later, he stumbled one evening. By the next morning, he started falling. And within about 24 hours, we knew we were going to have him euthanized.
So I've never thought about this before. But so you, with Lex and K9's, you take them home every night.
Sure.
They're your pet at whenever you're not in the car with them. But so like whenever it comes to vet bills and things,
wait a minute, Matt. Did this dog? You've made comments about Lex. Was he like a pet?
As far as to me,
yeah, he was less than friendly. The first dog you had was friendly.
Yes, Max was very friendly, very social.
Lex was not.
Now with Matt, He was around Matt, and Matt was he was a handler, so he had a lot of experience with the dogs.
Wow, so you were a handler too.
With Matt, he was very much like a pet. He would come in,
tiny Tinder circle that they're in, like
beg food, roll over for belly rubs.
Yeah, to me, he was a pet. Now, if somebody knocked on the door, that was not happening. But as far as in our house,
that's why
great
I've not
dog.
visited.
Very small circle of people that even actually petted him.
Yeah.
So whenever you took him to the vet and things, does that come out of your pocket or is that the department?
No, the department pays for the dogs themselves, the course we go through, the equipment package. That has all been paid for, always in the past, has been paid for through donations.
Yep.
The food, the vet bills, our recertifications every year. Basically, once the dog is on, all the maintenance.
Vehicle equipment.
The vehicle equipment, the special kennel that goes in there, the department pays for all of that.
Okay. All right. I'd never thought about that before.
The dog belongs to the city.
Right.
Now, it's just like any other piece of equipment. Now, when it comes to retire it or if the officer's leaving, it's a little different because now you have an attack dog where you can't just like give it to the next new guy and be like, here you go.
Right.
But the dog is owned by the city basically.
And there was whenever you were recounting your story, you mentioned that they're trained to come off of an arm whenever officers get nearby.
That's how I had, not all dogs.
Okay.
That's how I had Lex trained.
Yeah. I mean, my knowledge of police work comes from live PD. So, so I've been watching the show, and it seems like whenever those dogs get in the zone, they're in the zone. And I've always wondered how in the world the handlers can just walk up and it seems like the dog is done. Like they're like, okay, well, I did my job now, and they're just happy and ready.
In theory, it's kind of like sports. It's like when you watch the live PDs, like watching the NFL. There's so much work that goes in, like the hours that the canine handlers put in on their own time and on training, that to get all that set up. So when it is on TV or live, it looks so easy because all that other work's been done.
Thousands of hours.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we have a new handler selected he would have been the second dog. Hopefully we both get our dogs at the same time. But that was something that in the interview process was stressed, is how many hours go into it. And I was looking forward to having my experienced dog. He brings on a new dog.
Having a little bit of time.
We get his dog experienced.
Yeah.
Then I get a new dog, and now we're both going to have brand new dogs. And the level of frustration at the beginning, even as an experienced handler, you have to adjust to the new dog, learn how it works, learn his little quirks, train him, and start all over again just when you've got your dog in. He was my Cadillac. He knew exactly what to do, and now I have to start all over.
Yeah. Whenever I was in high school, I can remember seeing you in the high school parking lot playing with your dog.
Was that just a couple years ago?
That was 4 years ago. Yeah.
That would have been Lex.
Picking on kids, sniffing around their tires, see if there's
you were out there. I think you had a tennis ball or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was the guy in the gold truck with a trailer and a lawnmower on the back.
That's what they work for all their drug work. That's their reward. They occasionally get treats, but like my first dog, Max, he couldn't have cared less about treats.
Yeah.
Now, Lex was very motivated by treats, but he did prefer his tennis ball over the treats. But that's what they work for as their reward, is a tennis ball.
That's interesting. I didn't know you guys worked that way. The guy that we took Daisy, my German Shepherd, to whenever we were training her.
By the way, as a stopgap, I will offer up Daisy right now to the Newcastle Police Department. If you want a very thin
Daisy could not
German Shepherd.
be a police dog. She is so terrified of everyone. But the guy that we took her to do training didn't do treat training. Did like a toy. And a toy and a choker collar, and that was the method.
That's exactly how we start our dogs.
A lot of people do it because you labs and retrievers tend to put on a little weight. So when you do reward food,
that makes sense. Yeah,
you're adding more to it.
Yes.
I don't know. Daisy needs to put on some weight. You can still see her ribs. All right. I think that people are saying they're hearing an odd oscillating noise. 90% sure that's the ceiling fan that's on high.
It could be the ceiling fan. Yeah. It is toasty in here.
Is it not normally on?
Not typically.
It's not on that high.
Okay.
But it's a 1914 house, and the ductwork.
But if people join that Patreon,
maybe it's a baby doll head.
Yeah. Maybe
that's what they hear.
That's what it is.
That could be what it is.
That's so
not,
creepy.
Not loud, but noticeable.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't.
That's
think I
the
can
worst
get rid
kind of sound. It's the most annoying. Okay.
All right. So you guys are trying to raise then like $25,000 roughly, right? 25 to 30,000. What's the plan? Not the plan. The need. We'll start with that.
Our goal right now is about 40,000.
40,000.
What we need.
Is that going to cover both dogs?
That covers the estimate we got. We're doing some negotiating on what I have some equipment that I have duplicates of, so the new handler we won't have to purchase all of that. The quote we got yesterday for it includes dog and the dog's trained, the 6-week course for the dog and the handler to go through where they learn to work together and they come out certified. The housing for the handler to stay there. They stay up there all week. We'll come home on the weekends. We're 2 hours away.
Where you go?
We go to Von Lick Kennels. It's up just north of Peru, about 2 hours away. It's one of the top law enforcement K9 training facilities in the world, and it's only 2 hours away. It's where all of the dogs from our department have came from, and we've had phenomenal success with the dogs, the training. We go back up multiple times a year for certifications, for extra training. They're always super helpful. When I started Lex, I had some issues. We struggled with our tracking. That was the one thing we struggled with. They gave me all kinds of help. We tried, all kinds of different things until we got him going.
I'll grab a water. You have water downstairs?
I can't without moving the camera.
Oh, well, we're trapped.
Oh, it's okay. I've had the cough for like 6 weeks. But we got the estimates from them yesterday, and we're going to go through and try to pair out some of the equipment that we know we have duplicates of to bring it down a little bit. But we're looking at around between $16,000 and $17,000, and it pays for the dog's training, the handler course, the housing, and that includes an equipment package, which includes bite sleeve, water bowls, brushes, which some of that. The
$17,000. I am in the wrong business. I need to be training dogs.
Well,
whipping them into shape.
It seems really expensive.
They come from Europe. I mean, they're expensive to get over here to the United States.
They come from Europe.
A majority, like when I had my K9, he was straight out of Holland.
So from like Germany or
mine was from Holland. He was a Dutch Shepherd, but yeah, so he was a titled dog. That the way it was explained to me, and Brandy could correct me if I'm wrong, is in some of those like Eastern European countries, it's a hobby. They train dogs like we.
It's a national pastime.
Yeah. Huh. So they'll raise puppies, train them. Once they pass certain levels of certification, then they sell them to importers who bring them over to the U.S. and then they start back over the next dog. I mean, wow. They drive. They literally like throw in the hatchie or like compact car and drive out for the weekend to the country and train dogs. You just throw them in your back of your car.
So that's a hobby.
Yep, it's a hobby, and they make money at it, and they just keep producing dogs.
Huh. That's really cool. I never knew that.
Yep. So that's where some of the expense comes in because they're imported, and there's a lot of time put into them before they even show up here in the States.
If we could go, a lot of people will say, well, why don't you get a dog just, there's German Shepherd breeders or Belgian Malinois breeders in the United States. Why don't you get one from there? And it's certainly a possibility. But Europe produces the volume we need for and not necessarily our department, but the kennels. And I can go up, and what we'll do is they will know. Now, they're very familiar with our department because we're up there a lot, but we'll tell them roughly what we want. Like, I personally don't want a long-haired dog. I don't want to have all that grooming when I have to go through brush. Some guys will take a long-haired, but I'll tell them, I don't want a long-haired dog. I don't want a very big dog because I'm not a very big person. I don't want to have to lift a 100-pound dog up.
That makes sense.
We did a track on a robbery that we tracked for over 3.5 miles. And I put him over multiple 6-foot fences, and then I have to climb. So I don't want to do a 100-pound dog like that.
Yeah.
So if we buy like a puppy in the States and raise it, and then at a year old, it doesn't work out.
You've wasted a year.
And the money, and where we go up here, we have a choice. They narrow it down for us. We choose which one from that narrowing we want. And if in 3 months from now I'm not getting along with the dog or I don't like the way he works, we have a year to take him back and exchange him and get something that we know works.
And how many dogs I didn't go up there. How many dogs they have on? Look right
They can house, I think they can house somewhere around 300 dogs at a time.
Oh,
So
wow.
You have a lot of choices when you go walk in there.
Huh.
Now, they obviously, you don't have time to look at 300. They pare it down because they have
You give them what you want, and then they're like,
Yeah.
Here,
They
come
have-
through this section.
they have trainers that basically know those dogs. They've
Okay, yeah.
trained them, and they say, this is what you want. And they'll say, okay, these dogs I have fit into what you need.
I'm learning so much on tonight's podcast, Jeremiah. This
I
is
know.
insane.
I know. So, all right. So you guys are raising money through a big golf tournament that's coming up.
Yep,
I
we're
saw
having-
that was announced yesterday or the day before.
Yep, we're having a golf tournament on June 30th. That'll be at Westwood Country Club.
So how much is that to play in? What do people
It
have to do to
is-
put the team together?
4-man teams. It's $400, so $50 a piece. Jason Williams.
That's not good math, is
No.
it? I think that's $200.
$200. I'm sorry. 4-man teams, $200.
Well, 200 goes to the department, 200 goes to Brandy. That's
Apparently,
what happens. Yeah.
We're going to Vegas next year, you know?
Yeah.
4-man or women teams, $50 a piece or $200 for a team. And actually, I train a lot, of course, having been the only dog for the city, I train a lot with the Henry County Sheriff's Department K9 team. And when he found out that Lex had passed away, Jason Williams is one of their canine handlers, and he works for the Sheriff's Department. He contacted me. He's organized several before, and he said, hey, I'll organize this for you because, of course, with all the different fundraisers, I'm really busy. And he is the one organizing everything, taking the sponsorships and all of that. So they're doing whole sponsors, entering teams, all of that.
So that's coming up here really soon,
June 30th.
June 30th, the weekend of the Henry County 4-H Horse and Pony Speed and Action Show.
Uh-oh.
Danny
Counter
reminded
programming.
me of that. Yeah. We might try to get involved somehow, though.
You guys are also selling some pretty sweet T-shirts. If you go to 1070graphics.com, and then there's look for NCPD K9 fundraiser. I bought one. Did you buy a T-shirt?
Not yet.
I bought one. $15, man. How can you pass up that deal?
So that's I assume all of these fundraisers are going back in to help
Yes,
offset this cost.
all of the profits from the fundraisers, and they're all being organized. Our department, other than taking donations that people have sent, our department has not ran a specific fundraiser. All of the fundraisers we've done so far have been generously sponsored by. We've had Taylor Reese did a paparazzi jewelry fundraiser for us, and she raised over $2,000 for us. VRA, their range, are the ones who organized the T-shirt sales. They got with several different groups, and they're the ones, and they have taken all the responsibility for that, so we haven't had to do that. Jason has organized the golf tournament. The Crossroads Church is organizing a Tenderloin fundraiser. I hear they have amazing hand-breaded tenderloin, so I'm really looking forward to that one.
That's really cool. So you've had a bunch of different community groups come together.
Yes.
And trying to voluntarily, we talk about this as a libertarian podcast of volunteerism rather than using tax money, because they could easily say, hey, we're going to take Lowit money, public safety Lowit money, and buy a couple of dogs and be done with it. But that's not the goal they're trying to use. They're trying to have people voluntarily raise money for something that individuals view as being important in the community.
As of right now, we're raising the money that way. I haven't had anybody come and say for sure that we're getting any money from anywhere else other than the fundraisers. It has been quick right now. At the last count, we had a little over $6,000. And although we've raised that relatively quickly, that's still a long ways off from our goal.
Right.
So we want to see what we can do ourselves and get that going.
Oh, man, after this, you're going to have that Boss Hog of Liberty bump come in.
The BHOL bump, absolutely.
That's right.
You know what? I've been impressed. There's been, even outside the community donations, I mean, even outside the state.
We had a couple from California that came. They both have retired from El Segundo, California Police Department. He was originally from here and moved out there when he was young, came back here to visit a family member and had seen it, made contact with me. And they were actually, Lex had not passed. They got their pictures taken, were very generous, left a donation. saw on Facebook where he had passed and sent a second donation.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So
That's really neat.
So what we will do from our side for people that are interested, we will share the event. I think we already did share the golf event, and then the T-shirts, and then I think there's also ways just to make direct cash contributions as well. So if people are interested in doing something with the just giving straight up cash, that's possible.
They can take cash or mail a check to the Newcastle Police Department at 227 North Main Street, Newcastle, Indiana 47362, and all they have to do is mark on the check Newcastle Police Department K9 Fund, and every penny of it goes directly into a separate fund that is kept for us.
Very cool. All right. So let's talk on a larger scale of what Lex did, and then what other police dogs can do, what their normal role is.
It depends on the specific dog. All of our dogs in the county right now are all narcotics dogs. Some are single purpose. That's all they do is drug detection. You have the same thing. We don't currently have any explosive detection dogs working our county, but many bigger departments have explosive detection dogs, and some of those are single-purpose dogs, and that's all they do is sniff for explosives. And you'll also have what we call dual-purpose dogs, which sniff for either explosives or narcotics, and also do tracking and handler protection.
So with Lex, for you, he was a tracking dog for you.
Yes, he was a dual-purpose dog. He did narcotic detection, tracking, and handler protection.
So what is a dog? How can you tell when a dog hits on a scent?
You spend 6 weeks learning to watch him, and we look for what we call a change of behavior. When he's sniffing along, you'll see him sniff, and a lot of times he'll be sniffing along, and then you'll see him turn his head back. We call it a head throw because they'll literally go along and then throw their head back that way, looking at it. We teach our dogs, or all of the dogs here are passive alert, which means they sit. Once upon a time, almost all the dogs were aggressive and they scratched, but of course that tears things up.
Okay, yeah. I see him doing that on live PD all the time. Scratching and going nuts.
Yes,
whenever
all of our dogs in this county are passive alert. So they sniff and they're taught to work, we call it to source, as close as they can get, or what they think is, as close as they can get to the source of the odor, and they will sit and stare. That way they're not tearing things up. Sometimes they don't sit, sometimes they'll lay down. Really what you're looking for is that change of behavior, the head throw, the sniffing specifically. If I place a hide on the bookshelf and he goes and he sniffs real hard and sticks his head in between books, sits down, that change of behavior is what we're looking for.
I mean, you spend all your entire shift, and then whenever you're at home with the dog, so you can, I assume that you can pretty well tell whenever their behavior changes. So I was just wondering if it was more of you trained them on a specific action to do. Yeah, but
the sit is the final behavior. That's and once you've worked with the dog for a little bit, even if you miss the behavior, like in the beginning when the dogs are young, if you barely tap the leash, they'll come away with you. They'll think it's a correction. Yeah. But that's where all those training hours come in. The dog Lex would actually jerk me and go back and sit where he wanted to go if I got the leash too tight or anything.
When I first went through, what I found real interesting was the change of behavior. It was obviously they're attuned to odor is way better than human, but it's like when you're walking through the house and somebody's cooking and you don't smell it, and as you walk by, you smell your wife cooking, and you do that. Whoa. Yeah. That's exactly what the dog does. You'll literally see the dog working, and then they will hit that odor that they're looking for, and they will literally throw their head back in the direction of where that came from because they want to get to that source. They want to get to the strongest point of that odor.
And they couldn't really care less about drugs or explosives or whatever it is they're hunting for. They've been taught from the beginning that when they find these odors, they get rewarded with their toy.
Right.
And so what he is looking for is, I want to find this because when I find this and point to it for Mom, she produces my tennis ball. And that's really what they care about, is they want their tennis ball.
And then you get so in tune to the fact that dogs sometimes are like kids and they try to cheat, and they're not on source. They're not on odor. They just want their tennis ball, and you just bring them along, and they'll come right with you. Like, oh, you caught me. Good one. Let's go.
Whenever I was a freshman in high school, I remember there was a rumor going around that people could fool the drug dogs that went through the school by wrapping up their weed in dirty gym socks. Is that true?
No. When we go to school,
Or was I lied to all those years?
You were lied to. The way it was explained to us is like a pizza. When where's your favorite pizza place?
1,000 Degree Mount Summit.
So when you get your pizza, it smells good, right?
Yep.
A dog is attuned to the fact that whatever you get on your pizza, whether it be mushrooms, pepperoni, sausage, they can smell each individual ingredient. So you can't mask that odor with other odor because they are actually picking out that particular source of whatever it may be.
The poor dog.
So
not
basically,
only, he's just smelling the gym sock and what?
Yes,
the only person
gym sock and the weed.
The only person suffering was your friend, who now has sweaty gym sock weed.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the same thing they try when they bring, like, when they're traveling with larger loads and they pack it in coffee beans,
dryer sheets,
or
hot sauce, anything.
Yeah, any other
a whole mess of dirty gym socks.
Yes. It's a long trip from California.
So one of the things that I've wondered, which I've never learned, I looked it up just for this episode, but whenever you initiate a search with the dog, so you pull out the dog to initiate a search, do you first have to have a reasonable suspicion to do that, or can you like roll up on somebody? This guy looks like he's on meth. I'm going to pull out the dog.
On a traffic stop?
Yeah.
What the Supreme Court states is essentially it's a free air sniff. It's not considered a search as long as the use of the dog does not detain the person any longer than your average traffic stop.
Okay.
So if I stop your car and it's just me and I'm your average cop, I don't have a dog, I come up, I get your driver's license, your registration, I write you a ticket, I do whatever the normal is. If in there I stop that and use my dog, that is longer, even though it doesn't take very long. It is still longer than what is normal. However,
it's like McDonald's with the average wait time. So
right.
the longer you are writing a ticket, normally now you got time to get the dog out if you're real quick and efficient on the other side.
So if Matt is in Spiceland and he pulls somebody over, and he can't say, unless he, there's the census.
Unless there's something outside of a routine traffic stop.
I'm just going to call Brandy.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, and the good thing in the city is a lot of times we're close to each other.
Right.
So anytime they make a stop, I just go ahead and head that way. If they don't want me, fine. We drive by and check on each other anyhow. But if he makes a traffic stop, he's doing his license and stuff, I run the dog. It's all in the standard process of the traffic stop. So it's no problem for me to just go ahead and run the dog because it's not slowing anything down in any way.
Because you're secondary. You're not the official,
right.
the initiating officer.
If I initiate the traffic stop, if there was a car, like I stop and I think I want to run the dog, I would immediately call for a second officer, and I have them run the license. They get on my computer, start to write the ticket, and I run the dog because everything's getting done in the same time frame. I just basically have them secretary my stop.
And a lot of things that some people don't know, and you see this a lot on Live PD, is whenever people get pulled over and their car reeks of weed, but they're like, "You ain't got nothing on me," and they're like, "Nah, your car's getting searched."
Probable cause.
Yep, I didn't know that until I started watching that, and probable cause is smell.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's a distinct odor. I mean, anybody that's been around it knows.
I just hit a skunk, man. I just ran over a skunk.
It's very unfair to tourists from Colorado passing through to Massachusetts who happen to roll through Henry County.
How many of those do you think there really are in jail?
There's no
I
telling.
don't know, but there's two.
You're free to move about the country. Southwest Airlines says it in their advertisements all the
You
time.
can bring your weed on Southwest Airlines?
You can move anywhere you want to in the country.
As long as it's a within Colorado flight.
Correct. Stay in the street.
I'm just saying we're arresting tourists.
I'm just saying if you really look into it, there's really not a lot of tourists that are arrested for marijuana use.
I feel like everybody's a tourist.
Well, then I guess we're in trouble.
I mean, it's kind of like.
Do you have to follow the laws in other states when you go there, or should we just be like Indiana's laws? We're here.
Well, the fact that we're backwaters Indiana and you can't buy a car on a Sunday or couldn't buy beer on a Sunday until January.
Ooh, but we
So
can
you got
now.
your beer on Sunday. Now you're still. I still feel like there's a little bit of whininess there.
There is a little bit.
You're free 8 hours on a Sunday now.
Do you think
a whole 8 hours, Bart?
Yeah.
I don't think they want to sell cars on Sunday. I think the guy that sells cars wants a day off.
Well,
I would think so too.
If that guy wants the day off, he can take the day off. You don't have to go.
True.
Nobody's
think about
forcing
this.
you to operate.
Think
the
about
cars.
the poor construction worker that is working 6 12-hour days, and he just needs a new car.
Now he's going to have to drive to Ohio to buy the car.
Yep.
True.
On a Sunday.
And then
he should
all
be
that
in
money
church.
goes to Ohio.
But
He should be
before
in
he was
church
going to
that
Ohio
Sunday.
anyway because he was getting his beer.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but now he can stay here and do that.
Yeah,
and his medical weed.
You have to make one trip. Exactly.
Is that in Ohio too?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Every state around us has,
We are
has
surrounded,
more freedom.
Yeah, we're
More
surrounded,
freedom.
man.
More freedom.
I'm out. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Freedom.
That
All
might
right.
help out with the jail, but that comes after and don't.
Yeah, we got.
Did you misspell that?
No,
there's extra N
actually,
in there.
So it
If
was.
you're in the Patreon group, you can see Dakota he wrote in dot, but it says in don't.
Yeah, that was actually a typo at first, and I was like, nah, that's pretty good. I'm going to keep that in
Well
there.
placed.
Yeah. But, so the in don't fiasco is there was stories on Fox 59, Channel 13, Channel 8, Channel 4, all ran stories.
Was it Monday or Tuesday?
I think
Monday
it was
night.
Monday night, yeah, because I showed up. Our office is now just off of Broad Street, and Channel 8 was in front of our building. I thought we had a shooting over the weekend in the county, and I thought, oh, sure. And nothing. And then I watched the news that night, and they're all over. The mayor's there.
So I have a suspicion, and I don't have any proof of this, but we're an internet podcast, so we can go with those sorts of things. The city of Newcastle caught a lot of flack for not having the grass mowed at the cemetery on Sunday, Mother's Day.
That's true.
The mayor was absolutely getting just beaten on social media because they didn't get the grass cut. And then conveniently Monday, the mayor was the hero because he was challenging the state over Indiana 3 not being being repaired to his standards.
Well, now that we're on the case of collusion, I heard that Darren Jacobs was at Tri Elementary yesterday. So make of that what you will. That sounds a lot like collusion to me. Darren Jacobs, Tri Elementary? No reason. There's probably going to be a wind farm there now.
Man. Well, we are way off topic.
Yep, we are, but we got on this path. You took us down this path. It's going to be a tinfoil time episode now.
So,
Does he have the sole licensing for wind farms? Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just him.
You go to him, right?
It's just him.
Okay.
yeah, you just have to write him a big enough check, and then you can build whatever you want.
Now I don't get to work at Spiceland anymore. Fired.
Yep. Oh, sorry, Matt.
Great job.
I didn't think about that.
He's a good guy.
How many people have you arrested for having chickens?
It's pretty confidential. You guys don't have the Freedom of Information Act. That we gotta keep that tight.
I will send a request in for all of Darren's official government emails with regarding chickens.
Yep.
It's $1 a page.
I'm sure
though.
that will be something to talk about the next meeting.
It's $1 a page if you want to go to the registration office.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine how many people have emailed Darren about chickens over the years.
As soon as I move to Spiceland, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting
You're just gonna start
a
right
big
up?
old chicken coop right in my front yard, man, and says, "Come at me, Darren."
That'll be me. I'll be there. Darren will
Darren /
stick
Matt.
me on you.
Darren will call Matt, who stole Kim Kronk's job, and then
Yeah.
we'll have the chicken fight of 2019.
Thanks. I
Yeah,
liked
replaced
working.
him.
Spiceland is. I didn't grow up down there. I grew up in Morrell. It's a nice town. It's really a nice town.
Yeah, it really is pretty clean.
Yeah. I've not spent that much time as a county deputy. You go to all the towns in the county, but you don't really have enough time because we got 480 square miles or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've spent 10 hours a week for weeks now down there. And if I did not live where I live, I'd live down there. It's nice.
Yeah.
You make sure everybody's got their grass cut.
Let's make sure we don't have those dandelions out of control this year.
All right. So the
Yeah,
dandelions
they're
are under
insane.
control. You're making sure people aren't parking their cars on the street for too long.
No, it's
they got to
not.
move them
It's
every 30 days or something.
20.
20 man,
State
20
statute.
days. Man,
20 days.
Yeah.
putting the hammer down.
Man, Dakota was out of
That's-
compliance with
That's
that truck.
that's your state reps came up with that.
I was way out of compliance with that truck. Brandy could have came here and towed that thing.
Could have
We
been
got-
towed.
I think I've towed one car since I've been there, and it's because it wasn't registered.
Ah,
Yeah, people just abandoned it on the
Status.
street. It was a rental house. They moved out, left their car.
So it had to go.
Yeah,
Huh.
I probably belonged to a buy here, pay here. I'm sure.
They could pick
Does
it
it
up at
smell like-
Hopkins.
Yep.
did they had they hit a skunk since they left it there?
No.
No skunks.
So we started to touch on this thing.
Yeah,
with
we
the mayor.
started to go on the end. Don't.
So there's a construction project, 38. We call it Broad Street here in our town, Newcastle. The east-west road through town is Broad Street. It's like Main Street, but Main Street goes north and south. And Main Street's not a state road. Broad Street is.
Yep.
It's been under reconstruction for a little over a year. Parts of it were like little patch jobs, and parts of the street were totally taken down to dirt and replaced.
Right.
They ran out of time last year, couldn't pave it, so the state has come back through, and now they're doing the finishing touches.
Yeah, the for the Patreon supporters, whenever they go through the show notes, I put the WTHR in there because they showed more of an interview with Mayor York, and
he must have called. Somebody must have called every single.
He was
Channel 8 had it.
He was mad,
but they were all on it too, though. I mean, they all showed up.
Yeah.
Yep. He was on it, man. Because here's a direct quote that I liked. It was the part that they patched. It's a patch job, and that is not acceptable. Love it. And this is like as he's standing shin deep in a pothole next to a drain.
There is video of him with his foot down the hole.
Yep. And he's like. He's going around and he's picking up giant chunks of concrete in the road, and he's like, "What is this? This is unacceptable."
The part that, as an outsider, I'm not on that project, but if you're rehabbing your house and the house isn't done and it's still an active construction site, does your wife come through and ask you why in the hell the house still looks like it's a mess because it's
you're not married
yet?
But Matt,
100%.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And
We're not
wait till you're married. There's a deadline. If it's going to be done in November, it's done in November.
Yeah.
When the road is done, the road is done.
But you should go really look at it because I drive up there every day. Our office is there. It doesn't look very good compared to where they did 3 north to Muncie. That looks great.
Yeah,
they did a great job up there. But if you go down Broad, where they put the curves in the road in, there's like lips everywhere. It just doesn't look like good finished work.
No,
well, it's not finished.
I understand,
They
but
still
it was.
But it was supposed to be finished in November.
Yeah, what they were done places that like you're dealing with, those were finished. They had to come back and do the sidewalks and the crosswalks, but the roadway across the 1300 block of Broad, as far as they're concerned, they're done, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So
I am siding with the mayor on this.
There's an official process where the state will close out a job and they'll do a final walkthrough, and until that's done, the job's not done.
Okay.
In my view.
Right.
So I feel like it's a little bit opportunistic.
Establishment Jer over here.
I know.
Siding with the state.
Yeah,
Big government Jer.
Here I'm defending one side of the government over the other.
And I don't
Sorry
know
for
if
picking sides.
They contract out because they have people just doing all different things up there. So
sounds like he has a special interest. I mean, this
it's
is
like
his
he's
day
selling
job.
a rebar or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's a secret. Not a lot of rebar in a paving job.
Yeah, but the sidewalks and the curbs and
We don't want that.
We
want real big jobs.
You want that State Road 3 North job?
No, it doesn't have any rebar in it either.
Really?
No. What? There's rebar
How are
in
we
bridges.
building America?
Yeah, and Zach just brought up a good point in the live stream was that whenever they decided to wait until the spring to finish this, they just left all the sidewalks graveled.
But they put caution tape around it, so
Yeah,
it's all
maybe
for the entire winter. It just looked like trash.
Maybe if they had agreed to let an asphalt plant come to this town, it would have been done faster.
Well, and we want that
Or
area
an
to look
ethanol
good
plant.
because that 1400 Plaza's coming, and that
That's right.
that road has got to meet that
Aaron
standard.
Dickens pit.
My bitter disappointment in the city of Newcastle is that I was
14th Street's
told
closed?
multiple times that we were going to have sidewalks that went all the way down to Woodbrook on the south side of town along Main Street, and they were $70,000 short, and now they're going to stop at Southview or South.
Again, special interest. That's where he lives.
Yeah,
doesn't
They
care
were
about
gonna-
the people in Newcastle.
They were going to go all the way to the south side of the city.
I thought
and
of
now they're not.
Jeremiah today though because I was uptown and there was 4 city trucks and they were scattered all along 14th Street, that little closed section. I thought he's finally got them to open this road, and it looked like they were getting ready to repair it. So I don't. Maybe they are, but that's my first thought was he's put so much pressure on them they're caving.
Yep,
I
that's
feel
right.
like just some city officials need to go out there and be the heroes, Brandy. Just take the barricades down and open the street up.
Well, there's a
and
big-
once 14th Street is
14th
open,
and Broad,
yeah,
I
Brandy, me and
once
you, let's do it.
once 14th
Let's do
Street
it.
is open, they can't put the barricades back until they're really working on it. But it's been months where it's just nothing's happened. I feel like City Councilman Dickin and City Councilman Walden could grab barricades and open the street up and be like, "Hey, we did it."
I would absolutely
Freedom.
love to have 14th Street opened back up.
I know.
Brandy, I'm going to call Aaron after this, and me and you are going to ride down there with Aaron. You're going to throw the strobes on, and we're just going to blast right through the barricades.
I drove, so
Oh, okay. Matt,
We'll go home.
That's a county
the
thing.
four
We
of us
we
are
can't
gonna
get
do it.
involved in city business.
I know. That's
Go home
why
and
I
pick
was
up the
directing
other
it
car.
towards Brandy.
Since you're involving the work vehicle, I very much like that you've drafted Matt to do it.
Well, I involved the work vehicle because reinforced bumper
True.
wouldn't create that much damage.
So we
Oh,
have.
I
a
don't
plan.
have a push bumper. Neither one of us have any push bumpers
Uh-oh.
or anything.
Okay, well,
I mean,
It's
I know
wood.
he
I
wouldn't
think
need
we're
to
they weren't
because
that
he's
plan.
he's a desk detective, as you said. But I
Thanks.
figured you would need something stout.
Now I have just a regular bumper.
All right.
That's
Man.
detective. Wow. That's love.
She called you not a real cop. I heard it. I'll isolate the audio later, and you can play it for me.
Thanks.
That's right.
Just put it on my phone. And when soon you call me, that's what you hear.
Not a real cop. All right.
All right.
So the last major topic we wanted to talk about,
The jail.
the jail.
Boom.
Uh,
So we're raising private funds for the K9's.
Hmm?
How many golf outings do you think it's going to take to repair the jail?
Well, at about $1,000 a person, a 15-man team. I think in about 10 years we'll have that bad boy like a foundation laid. I don't go in the jail a lot because not being a real police officer, that's where they go. I stay over in the other building, but that it's
yeah, but when
needed-
Brandy arrests people and takes them to the jail, don't you go over and check on her?
no,
Because she's a real cop. And
No,
she
I'm in my office for today.
He's in bed while I'm working.
That's true.
So that's the other part of police work that I've always wondered about is how awkward the car ride back to the jail is.
Actually, most of the time it's a pretty civil conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do a lot of transports in
Yeah.
yours. You've got a dog.
I have.
Oh, you've got the SUV now.
Yeah, in what I have in the back, it's we call it a 1/3, 2/3. 2/3 of it is the dog kennel, and the other 1/3 is a passenger compartment where it's
So
all
the dog's
locked
just like
down.
in a cage breathing on them as they're riding to jail.
There's a plexiglass dividing, but yes, he's usually or was staring at them on the ride to jail. Yes.
For some reason, I love that. I really do. That just makes me a little bit happy.
You just want to
To
ride
think
with a
of that.
puppy.
But yeah, most people, you get the people that are unhappy and they're name calling
Have
or
you ever
threatening.
had anybody spit on you?
Oh yeah, many.
I couldn't deal with that. No way.
Not fun.
You spit back.
Nope.
Eye for an eye.
No.
Spit
Professional.
back.
You just slam the brakes and hit their head on the divider.
He spit on me
That's-
first.
Nope,
That's what I do.
everybody but the very worst of the resistors get seatbelted in.
Hmm.
Safety first.
Now I've seen him on live PD do the extra restraints and then the face mask.
Mhm.
That looks intense.
I
I would
don't-
hate to be that guy.
I don't have a hood, but above my visor, I have some of the little masks that like you pick at the hospital, the little white mask clip behind the ears.
Oh yeah,
I keep some of those above my visor.
probably a good idea.
So if you want to spit, then you handcuff behind the back, it makes it a little tougher.
Yeah.
But though the jail, I don't know. I guess in June we'll find out. I guess they announced at that Lowett meeting last week.
Mhm.
They're going to finally
The
have their
study.
results
That-
of the study
yeah,
committee.
They're expecting that study to be in. It must be one good study. It's taken a while.
It's a career job for the guy that's studying it.
Yeah.
All right, so Dakota has some questions written on here, and I don't know who's supposed to answer these questions. Dakota, what are we going with this?
All right, this is what I want to know. Do you think that jail right now is salvageable as it sits? In your professional opinion,
No.
or is it just really bad?
I think that the county is spending a lot of money right now to keep up, because we understand there's criminals in there. There are bad people. But there are people. And we don't want them to suffer for the fact that, you're in jail for whatever punishment or whatever it may be. But it's just worn out. The jail it's just like, when you bought your house and, you have to rehab it. It's just worn out. So
Yeah.
what do we do with them while we're rehabbing the jail? Because it's pretty full. I didn't get the jail count today, but I mean, it's at capacity to the point we had to reopen. At one point we were able to close the old work release center, and now they have inmates back over there to free up space in the jail. So, don't hold me to it because I'm not the one writing the check. I'm not the one at the end of the day they're going to ask, but it's worn out.
All right. I don't think I'm going to ask you about new taxes. Whether you think we should raise the taxes, because I'm not sure you have.
I have no.
I don't
say
think
over that.
Darren has given you that much authority yet.
He probably
what do you
raise
think
taxes in
Darren? What do you think
Spiceland.
Darren would say? Should we raise taxes?
Oh, Darren would put like a 60% tax on us for a few years
Well,
at least.
Darren is our token socialist, so I think
Yeah.
in Darren's perfect world, we all just work, and then the government gets all of they own the means of production, and then they get what we get, and then
we
all
own the means of production. Socialism.
well, the world owns the means of production, and then we all just go to whatever job we're assigned, and then we are provided with our food and shelter and everything else.
Yep,
and the government
right.
will take care of us.
But I know
There are no
that's
criminals.
socialism. Yeah.
There's no criminals in socialism. It's a perfect world, man.
But I think there is a new tax available. But I think it's income tax again. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a 0.1 to 0.2% county level income tax.
Strictly for
Yeah, House Bill 1263. We've heard. I know Ken and Gray advocated strongly for it on this show. Fiscal conservative. But then, what do you think about the Shell building? Could we make that a jail? Are my dreams going to come true?
I think the biggest thing is in jail construction is there's a pod system now. They try to not do the old static. This is a block. This is a block. This is a block.
Right.
So I'm not sure how the Shell building stacks up. I know it's still sitting out there empty, I'm assuming.
It's a big empty blank space.
But they've tried to build that as
It's a magnet.
an industrial area. Is that where you want to put a jail?
I'm saying make the Shell building the jail, and then after you get out of jail, there's all those industries around that you can go try to find a job at.
Yeah, I think that's what they're looking for.
Rehabilitation.
Yes, I'm all for that, but I don't know that the Shell building fits the need. Like I said, I guess we're waiting for the study to see exactly what, because it's not just the jail; it's the whole criminal justice system in itself. Needs some tweaks.
Wow.
Yeah,
we have 10 minutes left. I don't think we're going to get into
no
tweaking the criminal justice system.
But I think that's the whole goal. Is all of it, not just the jail.
On the jail issue, I've watched. We've talked about this an awful lot on this show, and I've kind of figured out three things. One, every single county has the same problem because all of the counties are responsible for housing people now that the state would have, and I think that's a problem.
Yep.
We've got 92 counties trying to solve the same problem. Which
91.
Well, I guess you have one that doesn't have that problem.
Correct. We have one county that doesn't have a jail.
Which Ohio?
I think it's Ohio.
Sure.
They actually grow up with a county next to
because
them.
Lane Siegman's been doing a good job of keeping those people.
They've only got 6,000 people.
They're so small. Yeah.
Right. So
it would take up the whole county.
Every county is struggling with this, and you're looking at, there was a potential that Hancock County to the west of us was going to borrow $55 million, and it got turned down by the taxpayers to build a new facility. My view, we need to put pressure back on the state and say we don't need to be warehousing these people here. Either you're here till you get sentenced, and then we could send you to a common state facility. That's the first part.
Yep.
Second part, we probably do need a new facility. I don't think anybody doubts that. We got a justice center that once it's paid for, or we can refinance the debt on the justice center. We can find a way to put together the cash to put together a new jail. But raising taxes to do it, I think, is painful, especially after we just did it for the.
I don't think it's painful. I think it's just
all
lazy.
started. Yeah, I think it's all started with I obviously own a property, so I pay property tax. I want to pay as little as possible, but I think that the state did this sleight of hand thing where they, to get votes or to get dust behind them, said we'll lower property taxes for all 92 counties. We're going to come in and slash those prices, knowing the fact that wasn't their funding source. That would be the equivalent of, Henry County Council meeting next week and saying, I know how we can get more cars sold in Henry County. We're going to lower sales tax to 5%.
Right. We're going to take the money out of the state's pocket.
So, and then the state did the other thing with now you're going to house level 6s. And I think they've been able to close 2 of their facilities.
Exactly.
Which is great for them because it saves them money. And the whole time they're just pushing it back on the county and not helping them fund it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they want to put it on us as workers.
I think it's an improvement that they restructured, which is better for for those that get convicted.
Correct.
The restructuring has been better for the individuals when you're dealing with a sentence. But where we warehouse them until they're rehabilitated or until they're ready to be released, that's the rub, and that's what's screwing over every one of these counties.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all dealing with it. Literally, you look at the map, and Delaware County, Fountain County, Rush County, Hancock County, Marion County. That's gonna be a big one, and us right here in Henry County. So anyway. I don't think it's a Shell building, but I don't think we need to go out and just raise taxes to solve the problem either. I think it's something that Senator Leising and Representative Saunders can help us out with.
Yeah, I think at some point something's going to come to a head though, because if they have to close down that jail up there. Where do we take them?
Well,
We have the option of
you know,
taking them out of county,
think-
but I think it's pretty expensive.
I think the state, they're doing so good with all their
Surplus?
facilities. Yeah, so we just make them close down the Geo prison, and then we take that over as the county jail.
Well, I often wondered, this is just me thinking, is the state, they're housing state inmates out of Geo, not
Right.
So they do it obviously at a savings to the state, or they be housing them themselves.
Right.
So I don't know if there's some way we could work out something outside. Obviously, we can't house. There's always the issue with sentenced inmates, non-sentenced
Well, I
inmates.
believe that there is
The non-sentenced people, it makes sense for them to be in the county jail.
Correct.
Right.
Once you're sentenced, there is no reason in my mind that they have to be in the county jail,
And they
other than
used-
the state saying that they need to be.
Well, the state used to pay too if you had them, but now if they're level 6 or below,
nothing.
They don't go anywhere.
No,
And
there's
see,
no.
I think that I remember talking to Clay Morgan, county councilman, about this and about sending county level offenders and the jail overflowing and having to put them in the state prison ran by Geo, and it was a few $1,000s per inmate that they sent up there, so it wasn't the most economical
Right.
solution.
And I will tell you, I've been in the jail, and those, like, we work out on the streets.
Yep.
And we're more in the public. Those men and women that work in the jail, they do a great job. They don't have much to work with. I mean, they're working in some pretty rough conditions up there, and they do a great job. They keep ahead of it. They keep that place up and going. They keep people, keep us safe, and they do a really good job for what they're working with right now. They really do.
Well, we're going to leave it at that for the jail talk. We're at our final thoughts portion of the show. So I know Matt watches, so we're going to give him the first shot at final thoughts, and we'll close with Brandy and Dakota. You bring anything for us? Anything cool you want to talk about, or anything you want to sell, pimp out? You want to join Advocare or anything?
No, I'm just glad to be here. It's been, I've been following the show since you guys started. It's pretty awesome to have a local show about local topics, and I appreciate you guys having us on.
Well, very good. This has been fun. We've talked about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Took a dog going and Brandy getting shot for us to have you on, but we finally
That
she made enough sacrifices that
I'm glad I can create a topic for you. That's
Definitely
enough. That's my
newsworthy.
part.
that's all.
it.
That's all you. That's all we're going to let you do.
thoughts?
So one more time, if people want to donate or get involved in the in the replacement of the K9, how do they do it?
On Facebook, we've shared lots of fundraisers. The golf tournament on June 30th at Westwood Country Club, and the contact for that is Jason Williams with the Henry County Sheriff's Department. On June 2nd, Crossroads Church is hosting a hand-breaded tenderloin fundraiser. Those are the two big ones that are coming up, and any cash donations can be either cash or check, can be taken or sent to the Newcastle Police Department, 227 North Main Street, Newcastle, Indiana. And the checks just need to be made out to Newcastle Police Department K9 Fund, and it all goes to us.
Don't forget about the shirts.
Cool.
Oh, and the T-shirts. Yes, the T-shirt sales end
The 20th.
Sunday.
Yep.
All right, so just a couple days. So if you're still
I
listening,
got mine in time. Mine was $15. That's all it cost me, and they're pretty nice.
They're real nice. They did a good
You
job.
can go down to VRA at the range down at 3 and 70, and they can take your order there, or the link's on Facebook, and you can pay for it with PayPal on there.
and we will we'll share the link in our show notes as well. So if you're looking at this in your podcast feed, we'll have the link right there. You can click on it right inside your iTunes.
All right.
Dakota, final thoughts.
I don't have a lot of final thoughts tonight. I hope that there's not a creepy doll that comes to haunt me, but Daisy seems like she's okay. She seems to just fine. This morning, she was barking like I got up and I was going to let them out. She stopped in Audrey's office before she was being let out, which is strange, and she just started barking like crazy. So I kind of got freaked out there for a minute, but I went in there. There was just a balloon from graduation that was floating, and that's what she was scared of. So no hauntings
You're
yet.
hoping.
Yeah. But and follow me on Facebook. If you want to see more things like the doll head, I guess, or if
you don't
don't, then that's I understand that too. But I'm working on a website for the Libertarian Party of Henry County. We're going to get that up there. We're going to start taking donations, have candidate profiles and things like that on there. It's going to be a really nice asset for us. And as always, donate to us on Patreon, and we appreciate all the support.
All right. So we're coming into the Indy 500.
Uh-oh.
Got just a couple weeks.
Is this the shirt that you're wearing?
Yeah, I'm wearing it. This is Dan Weldon. He was the 2005 and 2000.
Get up on that. We're
2005 and 2011 Indy 500 winner. He died in Las Vegas in the fall of 2011 in a race. But 2-time winner of the race. Cool dude. Met him a couple times. So it's a Panther Racing shirt. He finished second for them in 2009 and 2010, driving that Panther car. Anyway, the things I wanted to mention. The Indy 500 qualifying is this weekend. There's 35 cars for 33 spots. So I have my two drivers that I'm going to predict are going to miss the race are going to be Jay Howard and Max Chilton.
Okay.
So
I'm
write that down. Jay Howard and Max Chilton. Those are my two guesses as who doesn't make it. So when we're going to review this Tuesday on our show with Zach Burcham and Mike McCown. So, but
what was the second name?
Max Chilton. In the he was a Ganassi driver, but now it's a Carlin racing team. And then Jay Howard is the extra Schmidt-Peterson car.
Is that George Carlin?
No.
He has a racing team?
No. George Carlin's no longer signing. All right. And then I told you we were going to be doing trivia, so I've got two names for you.
I'm not going to know either one of them.
James Hinchcliffe and Alex Rossi.
I know the Rossi name.
What are those guys?
I'm assuming racers.
Right. So
that's it.
What do you know about them?
I know nothing.
All right. So James Hinchcliffe. I keep sending you videos and things to look at.
I don't watch a single one of them. I don't.
You got to be prepared.
No.
You got like 4 days to crash course. We got 102 Indy 500s to get locked into your brain before we talk about them on Tuesday.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Zero interest.
So Alex Rossi won the Indy 500 2 years ago. He won the 100th running with the Clutching Coast.
Well, that's I know.
That's what I posted today
because I can remember that.
Yeah. And then James Hinchcliffe, we'll show you a video later too. But he had a traumatic accident there a few years ago. Had a little piece of the car go through his leg. They saved his life at Methodist, and then the next year he came back to the race and won the pole. So he started first that year. So we'll show that video too in a minute. Zach Burcham is saying Zachary Clayman DeMello and James Davison are his two picks to miss the race. James Davison is a Foyt driver, and Clayman DeMello is the last second edition for the Dale Coyne team. Man, those guys both are on teams that are really fast right now, but they're reasonable names. I think James Davison's going to be surprisingly good. Zachary Clayman DeMello, God only knows what's going to happen. All right, that's the end of me for this one. I don't have any more Indy 500 talk.
We have 2 episodes next week. We need to get that out there.
We have a secret possible show Saturday that may or may not happen. Mm-hmm. Won't be a live stream, but you may have a surprise bonus episode in your feed.
We're going to try the mobile station.
Tuesday, we're going to have the show at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
With Mike McCown and Zach Burcham, and then we're going to have a Thursday episode with Councilman Clay, and I think Cade. I think we penciled Cade.
I think those are
one.
backwards. Tuesday is with Clay Morgan. Thursday.
No, you got that flipped.
You might want to talk with Councilman Clay Morgan.
Really?
Because I'm pretty sure he thinks that's where I heard it.
Oh, he's on Tuesday the 24th. We'll check it later.
It's Tuesday the 22nd.
Thursday the 24th.
Thursday the 24th.
Yeah. All right, whatever. We'll figure this out later. 2 shows next week. Should be fun.
We'll figure it out.
We're
going to have 2 shows somewhere.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.